Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Happy New Year's. It's 2026, the year of our Lord, AD. We're here on a Thursday. Nice rainy day in not so sunny California for those of you that live outside of this state, in this area. How are y'all doing? I hope you had a wonderful evening. I hope you had a wonderful celebration for New Year's. I hope that you ate, drank, and were definitely merry. Some of you may be waking up. Some of you are probably already awake. Some of you are in that in-between life and hangover, more than likely. A hint, at least from my experiences, cold water does the trick. Followed by a very light meal, a little bit of aspirin, that'll help you out. Once again, my name is Leo Naranjo IV, candidate for governor of 2026 in California, and I'm making a video. Made a few videos. This is another one. Going to be a bunch of videos coming out very soon through the course of the week as I go do my thing, stomp around, get some info, meet some people, contact folks. Just recently contacted a family that's been devastated by an illegal alien, DUI released multiple times, no less, that's caused the death of their 8-year-old child. That was pretty sad. Hell of a thing to have happen right before the New Year's. Reached out to the family that had their child killed in a car accident. Once again, illegal driver. Reaching out to that family, or I have reached out to that family. Trying to reach out to the authorities, the mayor, Sacramento Kings, yes, the basketball team here in California, to help mitigate the cost for a family that was impacted by the murder of their children. Reaching out to those who could make an impact as a candidate for governor in this race. Republican, no less. And what am I finding out? We have games. Games, platitudes, excuses, and reasons of why people in charge can't do jack diddly for those in need. Mayor Fugazi, I'm talking about you at this point in time. Let me preference this video with a disclaimer for you nitpicky folks out there. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a psychiatrist, nor am I a psychologist. I'm not a social worker. I'm not an assemblyman, state assembly, or any other form of official government type individual. I'm not a doctor or a dentist. I am not many things. But what I am is highly opinionated. What I am is a 15-year Army retired veteran, 11-year county retired employee, 6-year federal retired employee, 4-year state worker, formerly, 9-year former union member, United Public Employees Local 1, chapter here in Sacramento that represents the county welfare folks. And at the same time, for those of you that are keeping score, while I was in the union for 9 years, I held the following offices, elected to each, and I held them all simultaneously. Governing board member, chief steward, and safety officer. 3 different hats at the same time. 3 different areas of responsibility at the same time. Why am I saying all this? Well, because I can, for one, and because it's good background information for another. Why am I even making this video today on the 1st of January, 2026? Well, it's going to be a nice, wonderful, calm day. And I made a couple of phone calls after I saw a posting by one of our LA officials, Central Committee Chairwoman, I believe, Miss Roxanne Hogue, and I will pick you up in a moment on why I'm making this video about you, ma'am. We're in a world of equal rights. We're in a world where people handle you or slam you because you dare to challenge fellow candidate Republicans running in the same race that you are. It's bad form, Leo. You don't attack Republican candidates. Yeah, well, that changed long after Ronald Reagan passed away. That definitely changed when Donald Trump made the scene. We're talking about the realities of life. And let me explain to you what happens when you have that rope tied around you not to challenge your fellow Republican candidates. Well, the Democrats don't do it. Democrats are told what to do and when to do it. They're lockstep on stupidity. That's why when they have debates, something that they've had a bunch of, when they have discussions or town halls, something they've had a bunch of, the media runs and flocks and reports everything and then announces the problem that the Democrats have in this race right now is that nobody knows who they are. It's called name recognition. They have the same problem that I do. But they're rich and wealthy and influential. How can that be? Nobody knows who these people are. They've been controlling things and running things in the background. Now, I've gotten off the phone with a very close individual that I know that I stood with during his recall attempts last year. As a matter of fact, I was one of the first gubernatorial candidates for the 2026 race that signed his early petitions to recall Gavin Newsom early in 2024. I was one of the first and only gubernatorial candidates who signed that position first in August when we had that rally at the state capitol in Sacramento. Yes, indeedy, recall Gavin Newsom. But we had a state party that was not committed to something like that. Oh, sir, it costs too much money to do a recall election. He's already survived numerous attempts. This would be a waste of time. We know better because we're the party that knows better. Randy Economy is his name, and the recall effort was his attempt to remove Gavin Newsom, governor in name only, Gavin Newsom, up to 9 months early before he was termed out of office in this upcoming election. Lo and behold, he was told it was too expensive to mount such an effort. $300 million, Randy. It's too much for us to bear as Californians. And so by not supporting his efforts, I hear Ms. Hogue didn't support his efforts. Isn't she out of LA, Los Angeles? The most populous county in California? Yes, ma'am. You might have forgot about that conversation, but I sure as hell haven't. You tried to correct me with your brains and knowledge about LA and what that county means to California. And little old me had to put you in check to remind you you're not the biggest county, you're the most populous county. That word humble came out in that discussion. I humbly gave you a response to your sarcastic, I know it more than you, holier than thou attitude. And you were humbled. (2026). Last year I called it cowardice for a particular candidate to avoid having a debate with another Republican candidate on stage, one-on-one. This gentleman seems to be able to do debates with the Democrats. And the only thing they report, not that he was there and debating and holding his own, the only thing they report is that the candidates of the Democrat side, nobody knew who they were. They got a problem identifying their standings, their policies, their platforms. Oh yeah, and Chad Bianco was there. We're now getting our attention diverted to this tax that SEIU, the healthcare people, are putting up. Ladies and gentlemen, stop panicking. They're putting up a ballot initiative. Okay, so what? Don't sign up for it. But if it's that easy for them to pass, to put it on the ballot, don't vote for it. But we're acting like this is a said and done deal. We're acting as if, oh my God, the world is ending. Here we are freaking out about nothing. The race is the California governor's race of 2026, not a freaking ballot initiative propagated by SEIU. Somebody posted out there, oh my God, what will happen if it passes? Leo, you don't understand. Chad and Steve said that they would overturn it. Yeah, okay. And I promise to promote you if you don't join the union. I promise to give you a raise if you go out there and work for the next 8 days in bad weather. I promise to sell you a bridge in Brooklyn if you just give me $5,000 today. Come on now, people. Let's be a little bit wiser than that. When I'm asked what I would do if that nonsense passed and I was governor, it's very simple. It's dead on arrival. We're going to quelch it where it stands. Billionaires that are freaking out, all of a sudden you folks are coming out of the woodwork. Some of you have even said, if it passes, you're ready to flee the state. Here's what I have to tell you folks personally. Bye. Good luck. Good night. Goodbye. Fare thee well. Have a nice life. Billionaires who are complaining about a 5% tax and are ready to bail on the state do not impress me whatsoever. Number one, you said nothing while Gavin and company was rampaging up and down this state. You said nothing before Gavin Newsom when the Democrats were rampaging up and down this state. You guys seem to be fat happy and enjoying the moment. I'm not telling you that I'm for that tax. I'm telling you what I feel about your sudden indignation of being threatened with a tax. Ro Khanna's coming out of the woodwork now. Woohoo. Big whoop. He's trying to make platitudes and excuses for what it all means. We're not going to be supportive of health care measures in California? How un-American are you? No, sir, we're not going to be supportive of putting out our tax money for foreign nationals here in our state that are here illegally. Big topics on the farm today, Minnesota fraud and how that state looks so crappy and how our state looks just as crappy. The state's been looking crappy for the last 40 years. It's just gotten worse. The state has already had people gutting it and stealing it and robbing from it and making platitudes and excuses and noise, playing games to abscond with money in various pools and pots, probably even farther back than 40 years, because I remember looking at some of these folks when I was a teenager in school. Wow, this is impressive. This guy got caught taking a $13,000 bribe. Might have lost his seat, but he still took the bribe. Where's the leadership in California? We have none. Where's the GOP in California? Not. So let me clean this all up from the nonsensical stuff here and get to the point that really pissed me off, if you want to call it that, pardon my French, for this day. SEIU is trying to propagate a 5% tax on the wealthy. The wealthy is panicking and getting ready to bail on California, threatening to take their billions of tax dollars with them. Start helping a candidate who is willing to fight against such nonsense, and maybe you'll get somewhere. Stop threatening running away from the state, because I'm not going to sit here to hold your hand and try and entice you to stay. If you want to leave, don't let the door hit you. We've had over 2 million people flee this state for one reason or the other. God bless them. No shame. They did what they did. I understand that. You have people here with wealth and means who are acting the same way. But the people with wealth and means are standing on the sideline, casting disparaging commentaries about what's not right, what's wrong, what's indifferent, what candidate should be running, could be running, might be running, may be running, and instead of helping people who are going to actually try to win and try to change things in this state, they want to pack up and jet because it's getting a little too warm in the kitchen. I'm not here to keep you from leaving California. I'm here fighting for those who don't have that option nor abilities. First and foremost, the citizens of this state. My stance has not changed one iota on that reason of why I'm running. I'm going to probably tell you a lot of things that you don't want to hear, but you probably need to hear as the wake-up call. For those people that keep wanting to yowl about what the normal thing to do, the gentlemanly thing to do, how we respect one another and we don't attack each other on the Republican side of the House. Grow a pair. You people have declared war on candidates who you deem to be unworthy. You people have declared war on the candidates who you deem not to even be worthy of mention, much less of acknowledgement. You people have shut the doors on many a grassroots candidate, yours truly included. I can't speak for the other people, but I can sure as hell speak for myself. Some of you Central Committee member out there, your chairs are hostile to grassroots candidates. Some of you people out there in the Central Committee Republican Assembly groups feel you're holier than thou and know everything there is to know about politics. Let me bring you up to speed on the reality of life for wherever you are, especially those slightly older than me, but nearly equal in my age group. You don't know Jack Diddley. If you did, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in today. Who was the last Republican that we had as governor in this state that introduced and gave us literally the jungle primary the Republican Party whines about today? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Why did that happen? Because Gray Davis pissed off his Democratic base one too many times. What did we think? A rich person with no connections, he shouldn't be influenced by the unions. He shouldn't be influenced by the parties. He should be able to pave his own way. And come to find out, that man was a Republican in name only. Depending on who you ask, Arnold Schwarzenegger helped usher in the state party's demise in California. Death by 1,000 cuts, I believe, is the old Chinese proverb. We have a state party right now that is so ingrained on failure that they don't even know what the hell the word success means. Oh, they'll bristle. Somebody like me making those comments. Leo, you are not going to get our support. You're pissing us off. Grow up and grow a pair. You're avoiding having debates, but you're encouraging nonsensical commentaries and inciting panic at every opportunity you can to put people's attention span over here as opposed to over here. Are the rumors true that I've just been enlightened to today that Mr. Caruso, that individual billionaire down south making noise about running for Los Angeles mayor, is actually maneuvering himself to run for governor instead? Are these rumors factual or are they just rumors? Does he have the political backings of some group somewhere around California that helped to promote Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris? This group, you know what I'm talking about. Are these the people that are enticing people like Alani, like Tony Atkins, and a couple of other high-profile Democrats to suddenly drop? Is Mr. Caruso going to be the knight in shining armor of the Democrat Party, the billionaire that has all the answers? Because from what I was told, he won't be able to beat Karen Bass, but he'll be able to mop the floor with the demo side in a governor election. And pretty much clean out our side too. But what do you expect? You have a bunch of charlatans here on the GOP side. For those of you who are very supportive of the dear endowed sheriff of Riverside County, God bless you. That's your guy. For those of you who are falling prey to the state GOP acknowledgement of that candidate, God bless you. That's their guy. The man that knelt to BLM. You call it what you want. You can make all the excuses you want. Oh, he was praying, Leo. You don't understand. He was praying. He saved the county. He saved the city. He knelt to a mob. Man's getting paid $625,000 a year to do what? Stormtroop up and down California to run for a race while he's still actively paid for as a sheriff to a county? $625,000 a year, people. Think about that. The President of the United States of America doesn't even make that. And he's got two more years on his term before he's allowed to retire or rerun with 2 more pay raises. Now, if you listen to the sheriff's BS, it's going to be around 5%, maybe less. If you look at some of the contracts that they've already proposed and my soft math calculations, you're looking at double-digit raises, and that'll put him somewhere in the vicinity of $725,000 a year by the time his contract ends. Gee, which one are you trying to do, sir? Stay a sheriff or be a governor candidate? You want to talk about fraud, waste, and abuse? Look at that individual running up and down this state campaigning as opposed to leading his county as a sheriff. Which one is it? Can you do both things at once? Well, technically, sure. It's not against the law. Might be a little morally corrupt. Might put your moral background in question. But legally, you're okay. You know it. So do a lot of other people, which is why you're doing the BS you're doing. You want to scare Sheriff Bianco out of the race? Bring up Mel Gibson. Bring up James Woods. Bring up anybody else with any money or influence, and he'll have his whole campaign knocked on his heels. But we're hearing that all is not happy in Camelot. A lot of people don't like the sheriff and his ways. A lot of people are put off by the sheriff kneeling to the mob. Some of you call it BLM. I'll just say the mob. Some of you folks don't like the fact that he put up an individual and tried to get him arrested on charges for assassinating or attempting assassinating the President of the United States of America. Problem is, the President of the United States of America said the attempt never was made. But you insist that it was. So that kind of makes you look like an idiot. Donald Trump said there was no assassination attempt. You insist there was. Well, who do we believe? The target or the charger? You. Funny how you expose Mr. Van Miller in a way that most normal crooks and criminals are not exposed on the media. But you went overboard, sir, and I remember those time frames very well. Because I told my wife then and there, all you were doing was enhancing your run for governorship to look impressive. If you listen to the reports, we can't even get the videos to clear that man's name. But then again, using a famous movie quote, you haven't shown the videos to prove that he's ultimately guilty. Why? A sheriff withholding information and evidence that could prove the guilt or innocence of an individual charged with crimes? The fact that you were willing to sacrifice a person for your political gain was enough to convince me you are definitely not good nor safe for California. If you could do that to one person, what the hell would you do to this state? I shudder to think, and I'm going to damn sure ensure we don't find out. Mr. Bianco, I have asked you this. I have offered you this. I've put it out. I've put it out through feelers, your surrogates, people that know you, people that support you. I put it out everywhere under the sun, except that podcast that you went into, California Patriot Project. Yes, I know that you were in there for about 2.5 hours fielding questions. For some strange reason, though, you kept me out of that podcasting link. Well, the moderator did. He's got all kinds of fanciful excuses, and we'll just let those stand for what they are. But we know what was going to happen if I had been in that room. And I'm going to say it here again because now it's 2026. And I forewarned you before where this was going to go. You were showing cowardice back then. Today, this is a new year. This is a new time. You might as well consider this the December 16th launching of Wacht am Rhein, which was the German code word for assaulting Bastogne and creating the Battle of the Bulge. Any time, any place, anywhere, any day. You can set up all the parameters needed to have a debate between you and me, Bianco versus Naranjo, one-on-one. I'll concede Vem Miller cannot attend for your practical purposes. I care less if the man shows up. I'd like him to be there, be kind of entertaining, make you squirm a little bit, but I'll yield to that. We can block him out if that's your wish. I want this debate to go in your favor for your considerations so that the public and the people who are doing it do not hear the excuses of why you couldn't attend, scheduling conflicts, or any other excuse that you want to bring up because you can't face the hard questions. Your 30 years of experience, my 36 years of experience. You want to show up on a Harley and look impressive? Okay, go ahead and do that. We'll do something to be just as flashy. You want to show up with an entourage of sheriffs? That's great too. I'm pretty sure I could find an entourage of sheriffs, especially if I do something stupid and they're chasing me. But we're not going to do that. That would be beneficial for you, not me. But then the first thing that I would ask you on a debate stage is who the hell's paying for those sheriffs to be there? You, your campaign, or the citizens of Riverside, California? From what I've been told, no debate person willingly gives up the field to their opponent to set and stage. In the military, you don't yield your ground to your opposite number. And I'm doing all of it. The place, the time, the date, the moderators, the topics, crowd, media. I'm yielding all that up to you. My only demand is my family has to be present. That's it. Woo, Leo, as the party pundits would tell me. You must be an abject idiot. Nobody does that. No, I'm a confident individual that knows that I can take your boy on a stage. You showed cowardice last year avoiding the topic. Today, I'm going to say this. Why are you still avoiding the challenge? Because you're high in the polls? Because you're a sheriff? Because I'm beneath you? Because you don't think as a candidate I can stand toe-to-toe with you? I'm not worthy, using that phrase. Ladies and gentlemen, when I get smoked in conversation like that, when people tell me that I'm not worth or worthy of their time or their effort, much less their acknowledgement of who I am, or what I stand for, please note, I'm not bothered by this. Well, I am bothered by it a little bit, I'll be honest. But it doesn't really bother me to that degree. Well, it's confusing, Leo, then. But you said you're bothered. Yeah, a little bit. Of course I'm going to be a little bit bothered, sure. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But what you have shown is the contemptuous disposition you have to the public. He didn't embarrass me. No, I didn't need to. Because if I was your representative, I would be representing you. If I was your governor, I would be representing the citizens of this state. If I was a congressman, I would be representing my district. As a candidate, I'm representing people of like mind. I would like those of you out there in YouTube land, online land, or anywhere else land, raise your hand, look at your family, hug your wife, pet your kitty, feed your dog, whatever it is that you do, and answer me this. Do you feel you are an important person? Most of you are wrong right now. Let me tell you the things that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. Number one, you are not important. You are not important to most people running in this race. You sure as hell aren't important to the current government that we have running this state. If you were important, you would be on the Riviera. You would be kicking rocks and having kickles and kibbles and bits with Geno Newsom and his cohorts. You'd be on the phone talking to Rocana types, talking to the president types, talking to the Mondani types about what you're going to do in the summertime. We as individuals below the $1 million threshold are not important in the greater scheme of life to people who believe and think they know it all until the time of November rolls around. And then you are the most important person on this planet. Why? Because you vote. Or you don't. You cast a ballot. You are the thing that everybody is going to try and court, beg, borrow, steal to get stuff from you. That's how important you will be for that day. And the next day, you're going to be like you were before, somebody sitting at home trying to figure out how to live in California or move, depending on your position. So, with all that being said, and I don't want to forget Mr. Hilton either. That's another one. Now suddenly it's 16 years of one-party rule. What happened to the 15-year commentary? Still stuck on $3 gas, Steve. That's a shame because people are blasting out on the internet $1.89 in various states, $2.20 in other states. You think we should be kowtowing to you because, oh, thank God you're bringing gas down to $3. Oh, such a relief. Thank you. You would find more substance in a magic show in Las Vegas. A lot of neat videos you're putting out there. A lot of neat videos. Best that money can buy, huh? Carly Fiorina paid a lot too. $140 million out of pocket. I understand you're not coming out of pocket for anything, but that's just me. I understand you went up to Del Norte County when you were exploratory candidate like myself. You couldn't charge them a speaking fee, but you encouraged them to donate to your favorite charity. Holy crap. They were going to pay you to speak in Del Norte County at their Republican Assembly meeting? I must have missed that boat. I could have got paid and didn't know it. Holy cow, that's impressive. But I digress. So you actually wanted to charge them to speak to their group. For those that don't understand or are aware, Del Norte is about 7 hours north of California heading towards Oregon. Little bitty county way up in the corner of California that everybody dismisses because it's so far away. It's so far out of everything that nobody cares what they do. When I was branching out and reaching out to try and contact those type of groups to speak to, they told me that Steve Hilton was already up there and they were already committed to Steve Hilton. You've only been up there one time. Yes, Leo, but we're gonna be supporting Steve Hilton. Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some boom in it. Remember that song? I asked those people for some time. I asked those people for some dates. I was given both. I put in for some vacation time, and I took my happy slappy on that 7-hour drive and personally drove up north to see those people and have the limited time they gave me, about 15 minutes, to talk to them about my campaign. I didn't charge them to speak to a group of 20 people, but Steve did. And as an exploratory campaign at the time, still an employee, I didn't require them to donate money to my favorite charity. I went up there to speak to him, to do just that, speak to him. Amazing. And I've stayed in touch with those folks up there. I like the area. It's very sweet, very pretty, has a lot of potential. They have a port that if people actually put their nose to the grindstone and do something, could turn out to be a viable business adventure. Commodities can be moved in and out of that port area. Needs some work, let them figure out what's needed, bring up a proposal and a plan, and let's start putting it together and putting it in place. Because right now, the economic boom they seem to be having is, from what I've heard up there, and the 3 or 4 times I've gone up into that area, meth. Meth, meth, meth. Really? Amazing. So what does that have to do with Roxanne Hogue? Mine kind of goes here and there on topics. Roxanne Hogue, 6 hours ago, probably 7 by now, put out a post on Twitter, X for those of you of the sophisticated nature, talking about as we start 2026 with clean slates. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and read exactly what she put out. Quote, as we start 2026 with clean slates, I look forward to throwing out the old, parentheses, entrenched, quote unquote, local politicians whose only role is to feed the gaping maw of public sector unions and NGOs, close parentheses, comma, focusing those on our team who are easily distracted, parentheses, running for governor instead of school and water boards and city council and assembly equals squirrel, close parentheses, comma, and welcoming the new, everyone who thinks California is worth fighting for. To do that, we need to help normal, common sense people to take a step to the right. Register as GOP, at GOP, CAGOP, and at GOP Los Angeles. Welcome you to the party. Now let's roll together, blah, 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 blah. And she got a little pretty picture with all kinds of little pretty things AI generated. And I saw that this morning lying in bed, and I got immediately pissed off. But why? Why, Leo? We have to focus on things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what really pissed me off and set me off about this statement from Miss Hogue. And this is where we need to start to have that Jesus, come to Jesus conversation. Miss Hogue, there's a lot of things about you being a chair in a central committee down in LA we'll forego today, because you know where some of these charges are coming from. Meetings that have no agendas, meetings that have people put into positions without votes, meetings to have delegates selected because that's your opportunity to do so. You're one of those individuals, I understand, at least I've been told, that didn't want to support a recall of Governor Newsom, Gino, from back then because it was going to cost us $150 million to perform. But now you pitched and whined and dined and crying and everything else about the $150 million we spent on recall Prop 50. How's that turning out, by the way? Didn't turn out too well, did it? You got people moaning and groaning, bitching and complaining about what Gino is doing to the state before he leaves. Here's a news flash, folks. Gino is with us until January of 2027. We had the chance to recall him and throw him out of office almost 9 months early. What is he going to do? Exactly what I predicted he was going to do. Tear the state apart before he leaves it. You think he's worried about California? He doesn't care about California. It's not his problem. His aspirations, self-glorification, are to try and be the president of the United States of America. And our party in the state is doing everything they possibly can to prevent something that's happening 3 years from now. 2 years as of today. While missing the focus on California's governor race. Ms. Hogue, in all of her vast wealth of experience, has figured out that the only way we can take this state back is for you people, let me get my little finger in there, you people, and yes, I said it, let me say it again in case anybody missed it, for you people to run for offices she and others of her ilk and likewise of thinking have mandated or deemed necessary. They, not we, they want you to run for school board. They want you to run for city council or mayor. They may want you to run for an assembly seat that they select for you to run for. No guarantee you won't be gutted by a challenger that suddenly shows up to cut your throat. We'll overlook that because it's happened before. They want you to run for a water board. They want you to run for everything other than the positions of power that matter most in California. What can you do as a city council member in some discrete city somewhere in this state? If you get out of line, who sues you? The state. If you go a little bit too far right, who brings you back to alignment towards the left? The state. If you're in charge of a water board, the hell does that even mean? If you're in charge of a city council, county council, and you go a little bit too far to the right, who goes after you? The state. So essentially, Ms. Hogue is simply stating you need to run for the offices that we tell you to run for, thinking that you're making a difference. And you may here or there, a little bit, until you do something major and you get put in check and corrected by the state. So then that begs the question, who's running for state assembly? Who's running for assembly? Who's running for governor and all those other positions in the state? Ms. Hogue is a little vague on that one. Ms. Hogue is a little vague purposely on that one because the party is going to tell you who you can elect, who you can vote for, who they have decided is worthy of sitting in those chairs, either because they can control them or because they're aligned with what they want. And last but not least, they really don't care if you run or not because they get to raise money for the consultant class. And those folks aren't worried about winners. They're just worried about getting paid. It's not what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. So, Ms. Hogue, when you're out there prancing around trying to look impressive for TV because you seem to be more adroit in getting on Fox News and looking cute than you are handling business in LA County to do what needs to be done to turn those people around, let me leave you with something that's a little bit ugly that you and types like you don't want to hear. Why does the GOP in the state of California have the problem and the image issue that it has? Because you look, act, and sound like Democrats. Oh my gosh, Leo, that's hard. Damn right it is. Pardon my French. You're going after the GOP in the state. Yep. Because they're an impediment to our success. Lead, follow, or get out of my way. Started with that in 2023. Haven't changed an iota. Had a young lady try to impress me with $200 million. She couldn't move me off my track, which is running for governor. Had a fellow candidate try and bluff me with the millions that he had and the family name behind it. He hasn't dissuaded me either. Matter of fact, we're very cordial, and those conversations never come up again. Miss Kaladi was the $200 million amount person who's tried to influence me to quit. The other Republican candidate with the name backing, I'll let you figure out on your own. I keep getting asked how much money do I have in my campaign war chest to fight back. Well, if you folks would stop asking and stop getting, I would probably have a lot. But you're more worried about filling up your own committee coffers than you are a candidate's coffers. Someone who is trying to win a race, not just run around looking like they're trying to win a race. That's why I'm at where I'm at. I've got all kinds of billionaires that are whining and pining about what's getting ready to happen to them, but they're not ponying up either. But what the hell are you waiting for? I have an individual prancing around here, wants to make California golden again. That's bought and paid for a candidate. Jesus, you go about looking into his background. He is fraught with problems that'll make Arnold Schwarzenegger look like the second coming of Jesus when it comes to conservatism. And we all know Arnold Schwarzenegger was not a conservative. This gentleman just put out a video today to highlight his government experience that he's bringing to California to help run this state. Go back and look at where his government experience emanates from, England, and look at the crap situation that country finds itself in today. Took the Conservative Party and turned it green. Is that your legacy, Mr. Hilton? Because if it is, you don't need to be in this state trying to run for governor. There's more substance out of smoke and mirrors in an LA, Las Vegas magic show than what you're propping up. Questions about whether or not you're pro Prop 13 or looking to overturn Prop 13 on the hopes that when you're doing that, you're going to try and lower property taxes that the Democrats will hopefully not raise on you while you're doing it. That was a slick little maneuver on your position to cover up the fact that you want to overturn Prop 13. Think about it, say it, twist it, whatever it is you want to do, but you made the statement, sir, not me. You want to find out the hard way where he actually stands. That would really be detrimental for California to see that man in the governor's seat and losing Prop 13 protections for those of us that have property here. You have a gentleman that's prancing around as a sheriff, who's still a sheriff, who refuses to resign so he can properly run as a candidate and wants to hold on to the big paycheck while he's perpetrating, trying to get another paycheck of lesser degrees. That individual who kneels to mobs, who refuses to debate a fellow candidate on his terms, no less, that I'll accept, no less. Hiding behind polls, gee, that sounds like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden wrapped up into one. Dig enough farther into his background, you'll probably find that's true. That's no longer cowardice, sir. That's just being a coward. Did I just call you that? Yes, I did. Because this is 2026. You want to stomp around and prance around and be impressive, thinking that law and order is the only thing that's going to be here. And then to top it all off, you did one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen anybody do online. It's a neat trick. It's a nice talking point. It'll probably get you some clicks. But seriously, as a candidate governor in the governor's race of California, you're asking a YouTube personality, famous, infamous as he is, exposing Minnesota, to come here and find out what's wrong in California? What in the hell have you been doing in the last few years? But I will assure you of this, sir. It's what you've asked for. Should I be governor of this state, it's what you're going to receive. We're going to do the reaming out of Riverside County as well and find out just what the hell you have been doing down there. How you went from a $300 million budget to a $1.2 billion budget. How your contractual obligations have propelled you up to being the most costliest sheriff in our state's history that I'm aware of. And we're not even talking about the deaths in your jail that you are in charge of, or the dual responsibilities you have of a sheriff that, of course, in no way whatsoever could ever initiate any type of a problem, much less corruption, sheriff in charge of the jail systems and the county coroner, that speaks for itself. You won your election in 2022. The information that I come up with, 1.3 million people live in your county, Riverside County at that time frame, and you and your opponent could barely muster 200,000 votes to decide the election of who will be the sheriff in Riverside County. Now, I don't know who's backing you. Really, I could care less. I'm not sure which party pundit is pushing you because they don't really give a damn if you win or lose. And given the fact that you've been thrown under the bus twice by the party already, should have already clued you in, they're not supporting you. You forgot about Mel Gibson's run and you're near shaking yourself out of your boots when his name popped up. You barely won a race and left 1.1 million people not casting a ballot. Percentage-wise, you had 11% of your county vote between the two of you, and you think you're going to run the table on California? Wake the hell up. Here's the question for you bigwigs who keep trying to press the grassroots people to quit. Force the issue. Make Hilton drop for Bianco or make Bianco drop for Hilton. But your crap commentaries about splitting the vote and it's our fault is really getting old and tiresome, and it's an old playbook nonsense that you've had for 40 years. You haven't won jack diddly with it. Change up. Start fielding debates, not forums. Kumbaya get-togethers. Start putting out, because we had a candidate scrub their background, start putting out that you got a socialist-leaning candidate hand in hand with a socialist candidate trying to get into the governorship of California. Who am I speaking of specifically? Well, socialist-leaning Mr. Hilton. Why wouldn't he be? He's coming from England. What do you think they are over there? The socialist candidate, well, that's Mr. Serpa. He's already made that bold announcement, got caught in the same group that I'm now banned from. Transparency. When you have closed-door meetings with 5 governor candidates running in the same race in California, 2 people decline to show up. One refuses to even acknowledge that refuses to even go, much less accept an invitation, which you've already curtly told me you never offered. So open to all BS, Mr. Serpa, was not exactly true. You go behind the glass windows, all the electronics are supposed to be out of the room, no witnesses, but you had some. No conversation, no topic, no agenda that's written or provided to anybody, just you guys behind a window talking about what? Promised positions? Job offerings? How to formulate your campaigns together to do what? Support one another for one chair that only one of you will be able to sit in? The optics looks bad, and I stated so way back when. Looks like you're conspiring. Looks like you're up to something. Looks like that you're not really running campaigns for the people of California. It looks like you're running campaigns for your own personal enhancements. That's an opinion from a video that's now removed from online. I'm sure we can have those people that knew what was going on that were there drag up their photographs of the event. Somebody got a picture of it. First and foremost, for the citizens of this state, a sheriff that won't back ICE, that's now telling you he's going to be 100% supportive of ICE, except for the fact that he wants to give amnesty to illegals who have not committed criminal acts. Another candidate that even refuses to answer the question, much less get into the debate, Mr. Hilton. But Ms. Hogue, you want to focus on those who are easily distracted trying to run for governor. Have you ever ran for office, ma'am? Has anybody in your group ever ran for office? I'm not distracted about running for office of governor. I'm fully fed up watching failures like yourself make promises you could never ever deliver on, attempt to put up people you've chosen, not the public, to run for the seat of this office to save this state from the demise Gino Gavin is leaving it in, and Scott Wiener is taking it to, and the legacy and the losers behind him that are vying for that same loser legacy. People think this is a game. It's not a game. There are a lot of folks whose lives are at risk here. Their livelihoods are at risk here. I'm getting ready to speak to the union reps who are trying to fight to keep the port of Sacramento open because the East Sac folks over there want to destroy the port. And why? Well, the rumor is to build more condos. But I remember when that port was built, that was the economic boom to the Sacramento area, both sides of the Sacramento River, East Sac and Sacramento proper. Now all of a sudden it's disposable because it's too old to maintain. Are you serious? We have a governor's mansion in the middle of Sacramento downtown. Is that too old to maintain? But we seem to still do it. There's a lot of problems in this state. There are a lot of challenges for anybody who's going to be the governor of this state. There are a lot of things that have happened that have impacted people's lives. And yet we're still playing games. You may not want to hear a lot of this, but it's something that you need to hear. I'm not here to play games. I'm here running a race, first and foremost, for the citizens of this state. That hasn't changed since 2023. That's my goal, that's my intent, that's my purpose. And in spite of everything being thrown at me right now, I'm still here. I'll still be running. And for those of you charlatans like Miss Hogue thinking that we are the type that are easily distracted because we're not running for campaigns you've decided on or your ilk has decided that we should run, while you who know more than we do are picking and choosing who you want us to elect. Let me remind all of you in the California State GOP, we elect people to office. We don't anoint them. You can't even get your own damn election straight. 500 people show up, 1,500 votes are cast. You call them proxy voting. Stop that nonsense. It's voting by mail. One person, one vote. Isn't that the chant? Live it yourselves, and maybe things will turn around in this state for us as a whole, for the betterment of its citizens. But so long as you keep doing the fixed, we're going to let one person go down with 100 votes in their pocket to click an electronic buzzer that may or may not work correctly, that we saw in the September GOP conference/convention. That's why we have the problems that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leo Naranjo IV. I'm a candidate for governor in the California race of 2026. This is January the 1st, and voting commences in November. The target right now is the June primaries. Please look at your candidates, vet them hard, press them often, but don't fall for okie dokes or don't fall for people telling you who to vote for. Because at the end of the day, you are going to make the choice of where we go as a state. God bless each and every one of you. Happy New Year's to you, your families. Blessings be upon you for a prosperous new year, and God willing to give us the right choices.